What I wanted to bring into our collective today is, so I drew a card for us, and the card is release. So release. We are releasing that which is complete. Okay. And what's really coming in is it's this kind of concept about going back. Okay. So we're at this really interesting place in space and time where many of us are really ready to get back, move out. I know I am. I'll speak for myself. I'm ready to, um, I'm just ready to expand. I have no desire to get back to anything, which is actually what I want to bring up, but I'm ready to get out into the world. I'm ready to go into greater expansion and greater expression in a way that makes sense collectively. Okay. And I honor that everyone's at a different temperature about what feels good moving back out into the collective. And I think we all need to honor wherever anyone is and be respectful of fears that are very much up, parameters that people feel more comfortable experiencing so that they can move into the world. No matter what it is you believe or what you're aligning to, or whatever sensation you're experiencing, where your fear lies, that is the very personalized experience. But I do think it's important to honor that collectively people are resonating with different things, and it is important to allow people to feel safe, and whatever contribution you have to that, I think it's important to be mindful of. That's just my public service announcement. Now, with that being said, I'm hearing a lot about, like, I'm ready to open up. I'm ready to open up is interesting. So open up has a lot of potential, right? Are you willing to open up to a higher frequency, to greater exposure, to greater expansion within your own self? Like, are you ready to open up? Because people are screaming to open up, but you got to open up first before we can open up out there. So a little metaphor, a little play of words. Are you willing to open up into your highest frequency? Are you willing to be in your greatest vulnerability? And I'm not talking about virus and viral loads and going out there without masks. I'm talking metaphorically. I'm speaking of, are you willing to allow your grand opening to be an integration of all of the experiences, all of the healing, all of the ahas, all the awarenesses that have come into your perception, into your perspective, into coming into vibrational alignment with your being? Are you willing to open up to being a new human when you move back out into the world? And so that means there's a lot to what that means. Okay. I want to tie this in with people saying going back, I'm ready to get back. I'm ready to get back, to go back. I don't think there is any going back. Now, I mean that too from a place of transformation. I think we've come too far to go back. Now, will some systems and some platforms and some businesses, and will some things begin to gradually open in a going back manner? Yes. Will it be different? Absolutely. Is it temporary? Who knows? We have a lot to experience and explore here as we move back into the world. But friends, I don't think there's any going back. I don't think that it's business as usual. Everything in my body is like, we have not gone through this 2-month plus experience of deep soul expression to go back to anything. In fact, we're not even to the promised land yet. We're not even to the full apex of where we're going. So there's no going back. There's integrating in a new way as we come back out into a new world, figuring out our next steps. And so what's really important about this is that it is all new. It's all becoming new. We're going to learn new ways of being. We're going to learn new ways of integrating. We're going to have different experiences out there in this new world. But more importantly, I want to know, like, are you really in the ownership? Are you in the ownership of honoring that you too are becoming new, and that there's certain things of the old that I'm not believing that we're ever going to be able to go back to. And that's very personalized and very individualized. I've had the blessing this morning of just really being with some people in session of, you know, maybe they were working too hard. Maybe they were working really, really hard in order to generate enough money through them, in order to, you know, feel worthy, to feel on purpose. There's this, what's been the engine generating the machine has been this third dimensional lens of lack of not having. And so many have been working really hard to come into alignment or to feel as if they're supported or safe in the world. Do you want to go back to that? Some had come out of jobs where they didn't want to be in those jobs for a long time anyway. Do you want to go back to that? I really think that what's coming up with the reflection of this new moon that's coming in the next 24 hours is this opportunity to be really clear about what has transcended and what is complete. And if there is truly no going back, that means things that you're wishing or wanting to integrate into your new reality because they hold extreme value to you. People, places, things, experiences, how you spend your time, how you spend your resources, where you spend your time and your resources, your energy. It's all up for a real deep dive and contemplation of like, how do you want to emerge? It isn't about going back. It's an emergence. How do you want to emerge into a new world that hasn't yet been defined? And yet hasn't even completed it isn't even in its completion. So the world is all not new, but it's becoming new. How do you want to emerge back into the sequence? And what, if you're being really honest and really transparent, what is complete and there is no going back to it? I've been reflecting this a lot in friendships, in practices. People are looking at it in work. They're looking at it in jobs. They're looking at it in school structures. You know, we're looking at a lot of like, how do you want to emerge in full newness? And the thing that is really overarching all of it is that if the thing that's up for review to go back to, the first question you get to ask yourself is, does this align with my purpose? Does this bring me soul level joy? Is this the greatest usage of my time, of my energy? Your energy is precious. It's divine. Is this the greatest expression of my precious resources, my time, my energy, my money, my heart, my presence? And you can ask that question across the board for anything you're in the exploration of going back to or emerging into. So it's a real contemplative thing. And we get really wrapped in the like, well, I don't have any choice or I have to. And I just want to remind you, you always have choice. And it's yesterday I described it to a client like you have a blank canvas, my friends. What technicolor life are you willing to paint? You have a blank canvas. In a lot of ways, it's a fresh start. So I just want to shift the gaze from going back to emerging into something new and to kind of change the pulse of that. So really, truly, there is no going back. It's all new, including you. You are emerging as a new human. Please allow the space for the full transformation. So the transformation is occurring on the inside, and over these days, weeks, months, and maybe even years that are to follow, that transformation is going to be made manifest in the outside. And so it's all up for review. So here's your fresh canvas. You're emerging into a new world that's still finding and designing itself. And so what is complete for you? What are you willing to let go of? And what are you willing to allow to be in its fullest expression as new? And I think it's a really good pulse as we begin to move. And it really aligns with the new moon energy that is coming tomorrow on the 22nd. So I did draw 2 cards for us for today. One was, and how appropriate, release the dark wound and let love live. And if you see, it is putting this fish into the water And it's like its scales come to life when it hits the emergence of the new waters. Okay, so water's symbolic often of emotion. I'll have to look up and see what this fish in particular is symbolically means. But the number is 7. It's a 25 card, which is the number 7. Number 7 in numerology is the connection between heaven and earth. So if you look at the number, it goes straight across heaven and comes straight down to earth. So it encompasses heaven and actualizes it into earth. It's a very incredible, it's a very spiritual number. It's a very much in resonance with a higher consciousness. So release the dark wound and let love live. Let it come to technicolor life. Really, there's also some significance in it's just offering, right? The hands are just flopping the koi fish back into the waters, right? And when you bring in that, when you offer it, it is as if it gets to come to life. So there's a surrender in this as well. It's just offered in. And when it's offered into the deep well, it comes to life. So what are you offering to become as you reemerge into a new world? Right? What are you offering over? And then I wanted some greater clarification. So I drew this card, which comes often for us. And here's the globe in sacred geometry, lit up, right? Fully activated in prisms of light frequency. The sacred geometry is moving all through it. And the words are dream a beautiful dream. So when we move into the release of the dark wound and into the full expression of purity of love light, we're really, I mean, this is what we're doing. We're healing. We're healing the consciousness of humanity. We're healing the planet at large. We are activating new light frequencies. We are coming into greater, higher depths of vibrational sequence. We're moving dimensionally. We're shifting density. We're lighting up. And the number of this is, it's number 10, which is the 1, which again is the number in the creation of all new beginnings. Now, I love that it's actually the 19 card. And what I love that it is the number 19 is that it's the 1 of new beginnings standing right next to the 9 of divine completion. So they're standing together, right? The beginning and the end in perfect sequence, standing right next to each other. Is that not what we're living here? Is that not what we're experiencing? The end, the wrap up, there's no going back. But we complete and we move into a culmination of a new bright beginning and a glorious new vibrating earth and all the species and the humans upon it as well. So too shall they illuminate. And then the 9 and the 1 adds up to 10. Beginning, number 1 sequence, new beginnings. And the 0 is the number of infinity. It is creation. It is source. So they stand together, unified and whole. And I think that's the place that I will leave you today, dear ones. Know that you're infinite. Know that there is no need to go back. You get to recreate everything anew. If you trust, and if you allow, and if you surrender, and if you paint this brilliant tapestry, or this brilliant base of your life with technicolor beauty, it's all there for you. I love you. I'm grateful that you're here. And tomorrow we'll celebrate the new moon energy in Gemini.